Ladies and gentlemen, I love this program, and I love it for many reasons. I love the two-way community. I love our great guests, and I love keeping up with the news. There's two things, honorable professions. I think they're the only two, where the people who love them are called junkies. I'm not sure why that is. News junkie, political junkie. Don't know why liking those two things is compared to being addicted to drugs, but they are. And nonetheless, this show for me is just like a shot in the arm. Not the kind of shot you're thinking of. Anyway, grateful to you for being here. This is the Two Way Tonight program. Our guest tonight, Hans Nichols of Axios, and Tim Rice, who's the deputy managing editor of the Daily Wire, although my sheet says he's the managing editor. So, Tim, congratulations, battlefield promotion. Whoever the actual managing editor is probably want to have a word with me. Anyway, tonight we're going to review, like it's a Zapruder film, the president's cabinet meeting. This morning on the morning meeting, we made bets about how long it would be, and my two co-hosts said it would be over 90 minutes. I set the over-under at 90 minutes, and boy, was I wrong. I said it'd be less than 90 minutes. It was so far over, I had to move on to other stuff. I didn't see the end of it, but I saw most of it. And I read about the rest of it, looked at the transcript. A lot happened in the cabinet meeting, and we'll break it all down for you, like a trio of thinner John Maddens, telestrating, and all the stuff they do. And then stuff happened with Russia, Ukraine. Jared Kushner and Mr. Witkoff sat with Putin the way I would sit with my favorite cousin. There's just a friendliness to it that baffles some people that they're yucking it up again with Putin. They treat Zelensky like I would treat, Anyway, we'll talk about that. Of course, the Tennessee House race, the polls close in a couple hours. We'll mention that. Not much to tell you about that quite yet, although I'm on the lookout for exit polls. Michael, help me watch cable, see if anybody's got an exit poll. Hans, do you know anybody got an exit poll in that thing? You don't know, do you? Okay. Anyway, Ukraine, Hegseth. Lots on Secretary Hegseth today, and I'm going to start in a moment telling you about my experience reporting on this Hegseth matter. And President Trump, once again, talking about Joe Biden. He's got an enduring obsession with Joe Biden and the Trump accounts, the Fed chair, a range of matters, all, plus the professor and Marianne, right here on a very special edition. Tim laughed at that. He has no idea what that reference is. Tim, do you know what that reference is? He claims he does. All right. Tim's older than he looks, apparently. All right. I'm scrolling through here. Yes, before we bring in our guests, I need to tell you about my friends at Cozy Earth who are still having a crazy sale. Like crazy, Eddie, so crazy you won't believe it. 40% off everything on the Cozy Earth website. Go to cozyearth.com, promo code two-way for 40% off. The bubble cuddle blanket, the sheets, the towels, the pants, the t-shirts. I don't talk as much about the t-shirts as I should. They're perfect t-shirts. They're just perfect. 40% off if you go to cozyearth.com right now. And again, I'm warning you, if you buy the bubble cuddle blanket and you leave it out on the couch and you go to pop from the fridge, someone in your family will take it. It could be your dog. Someone will take the bubble cuddle blanket. So you need to guard it like a fox. And if you're going to get a pop from the fridge, just take it with you. That's my free advice. The pants I mentioned the other day, a lady texted me or emailed me and said she bought the pants for her husband. She's never thanked her for any clothes, never praised any clothes. Praise those clothes. Give the gift of comfort that lasts beyond the holidays and carries into a cozy new year. I didn't write that line, by the way. If I did, I would have touched it up a bit. Go to cozyearth.com, promo code two-way for 40% off. And if you order by December 12th, which by my calculations is in 10 days, the whole thing will be delivered you in time for Santa. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Rice. Tim Rice, welcome in. How did somebody become the deputy managing editor of the Daily Wire?
It's a great question. You first start by being really, really nice and cozying up to the managing editor. And not to open with a fact check, I'm actually now our Washington D.C. bureau chief. If anyone in the two-way
instead or in addition.
Instead, we dispensed with the deputy managing editor title when we opened our D.C. bureau, partially because it's just a mouthful.
Yeah. Okay. Well, welcome in. We're happy to have you here. Have you ever seen the show?
I've seen a bunch of clips. This might be my first full episode, but I've got, as you know, Mark, I've got a lot of little kids at home, so it might be the first full episode of anything I've sat through in a couple of weeks.
Understood. You wouldn't know then that 3/4 of the way through we have a dunking machine. So
that's what the truck is in my driveway. That makes sense. That
exactly. Hans, welcome back. Very happy to have you here, sir.
Thanks for having me.
I realize my microphone's not where it's supposed to be, so probably you haven't heard a word I've said. Okay. Welcome in. Lots to cover. Thank you all for being here. As always, if you want to be in on the conversation, opportunity of a lifetime to ask Tim and Hans a question, make a comment, critique the dunking machine. Raise your hand if you're here on the two-way platform watching on X or YouTube. No hand raised, no smack in the chat. All peace, love, and understanding. Thank you for your attention to all such matters. Here we go. There's so many angles to the Hexeth thing, but one angle is he going to lose his job? And this is the third round of my hearing from Republicans saying, check your sources. Hexeth is gone. They're done with him. The president doesn't like all the bad headlines, blah, blah, blah. And then when I call the Hexeth people, they always say the same thing. You're being spun. These are evildoers. It's all a waste of your time. Nothing's going to happen to them. And then I watched the cabinet meeting, and if that guy's gone, it's the biggest bait and switch of all time. The president might as well have sat him on his lap and kissed him on the forehead. So, Tim, welcome in again. Thank you for being here. Where does Secretary Hegseth stand now as the leader of the Department of War?
I think that, as you said, I think that I don't think he's going anywhere, and I think the cabinet meeting today confirmed it. I think there's a lot of reasons that he's not going anywhere. One is that Trump clearly just seems to like him, and Trump has stuck with him through potentially other bigger scandals. But I think the biggest one, and this has sort of been lost in this, is that I don't think Trump will scapegoat Hegseth in this situation, because I think Trump is very proud of the strikes that they made on the Venezuelan narco-terrorist boats. And I think Trump wants to own this. I think Trump wants to be the commander in chief. I think he wants to say, yeah, I was okay with it. We saw some of that in the cabinet meeting today, too. So I don't think that I don't think he has a need to scapegoat his Secretary of War right now, because I don't think he wants to admit defeat. I don't think he thinks these are bad headlines.
Hans, when congressional Republicans not named Murkowski, Collins, Bacon, and a few
Wick-
others
Wicker. Yeah.
Wicker, when they break from the president, typically it's either because of politics, their own personal politics is trumps their fidelity, or they have a really strong feeling that something's not right, and they're still breaking with him on this. So what's motivating people like Roger Wicker and the former head of the Intelligence Committee, whose name's right out of my head, but you know it, in the House side.
Tom Cotton or House side Rogers.
No, the former head of the Intelligence Committee from Texas, whatever.
Okay.
People are breaking.
McFall or McFall. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're breaking. They're raising questions. What's motivating them?
Probably the severity of the initial reporting and there's just the sort of the explosiveness of it, right? This idea that there's a double tap, which seems to be like now sort of vernacular on the Hill. I probably talked to, I don't know, like 3 to 4 senators today using the term double tap, right? And there's a lack of information in general, especially for Democrats, on what's the legal justification for these strikes and what's happening. So I wouldn't go that far. Well, I had a conversation with Senator Blumenthal today about whether or not he thinks Senator Wicker will actually go forward with an investigation, not just oversight.
Right.
And Blumenthal was skeptical. Now, Wicker in the past has had some pretty hot comments on the president and the administration, how they've handled things. Remember, I want to say it was about J.D. Vance. He called it a rookie mistake before he went over to the Munich Security Conference. So formal investigation, if that happens, those are some pretty big mechanics, right? You have a preservation of documents, you have subpoenas. Before all that happens, there'll be interviews. On Thursday, the admiral in charge, Admiral Bradley, will be briefing or having a conversation with bipartisan groups of senators, I believe, on Senate Armed Services. So I feel like the easiest solution to all this is me just like release the full tape.
Right. Full tape.
Right?
And the legal finding that justified the strike.
But like the conversation I had this morning, anytime you have a 4-star making decisions like that, there's usually a JAG, Judge Advocate General within arm's distance of that 4-star, right?
Yeah,
they are there, and that's just protocol.
Yeah.
And the idea that like we've all seen a lot of videos of these strikes. Why? Because the Trump administration has released them. So the idea of releasing the entire video of the September 2nd strike, and so we can all see, that seems like one potential way to clear this up. But I would say right now, great deal of distrust among Senate Democrats. They said this is the first they ever heard of it, that they weren't briefed about this and classified, the idea of a double tap. That was kind of a big development today. Some had kind of said they'd heard about it, but they want to be careful because it was in a classified setting and what they hadn't heard. But then skepticism that the Republicans, at least in the Senate, will do a real investigation.
Yeah, very well said. Thank you for that summary. And of course, many of you know Hans covers the Hill for Axios. I love when senators who are on the Intelligence Committee, House or Senate, either one, when they're asked a question and you can see their mind clicking of what's been in the New York Times and in Axios that I can say because I can't say anything classified. And of course, often there's more in the New York Times than in the Acts of Classified Briefing. So we got more information today. Secretary Hegseth sat next to the president, which is not unusual because often the two national security cabinet members flank the president. He got called on first. He talked at some length about a variety of topics, including about the Caribbean strikes, and then later, in response to reporters' questions, he gave the fullest account he's given of what happened, and we'll show you a bit of it in a moment. But basically, he says he ordered the strikes. He watched the first strike, and then he wasn't around for the alleged second strike, but he had no problem with it. And when the president was asked repeatedly, I'd say repeatedly because I think he was asked twice, what do you think of the second strike? Because the other day you said you wouldn't really be keen on a second strike. This is a summary, a paraphrase of the president. He said, humana, humana, humana. Didn't really fully address it. So here's Secretary Hegseth talking about well, here's number 7. Here's the headline from the Wall Street Journal. Hegseth says he didn't see strike on alleged drug boat that killed survivors. Defense Secretary backed decision to hit the vessel for a second time during September attack, but says he left the room when the order was given. That's the Wall Street Journal, reminiscent of Al Gore saying he wasn't present for some discussions on fundraising using the Lincoln bedroom because he drank a lot of iced tea to stay awake, and if he drank a lot of iced tea, stay awake, he had to leave the room to go to the bathroom. Just that made me think of that because he says he left the room. Here's Secretary Hegseth in his own words describing what happened on that fateful day. Number 8, please.
You didn't see any survivors, to be clear, after that first strike. You personally?
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded in fire and smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand. You sit in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post about kill everybody, phrases on anonymous sources not based in anything, not based in any truth at all. And then you want to throw out really irresponsible terms about American heroes, about the judgment that they made. I wrote a whole book on this topic because of what politicians and the press does to warfighters. President Trump has empowered commanders to do what is necessary, which is dark and difficult things in the dead of night on behalf of the American people. We support them, and we will stop the poisoning of the American people.
And this is
not quite a fact check, but I think pretty much every office in Washington has air conditioning. I'd be surprised if anybody doesn't have air conditioning. Either of you want to say anything else about this story? Again, there's multifacets, and I think the question of what the Hill does next, including hearing from the commander himself, scheduled for Thursday, is probably the big thing. But either of you want to say anything else about this?
I would just say, and you just sort of alluded to it, the hearing from the commander and anyone else from who's actually on the ground or in the military chain of command below the president and Hegseth is going to be, I think, very important. And I almost sort of want to pump the brakes on, I mean, obviously we're not going to pump the brakes on reporting this. No one is, but I think, there's been a lot of obviously in, I'm not saying, it's a conspiracy or whatever, but of course, Trump and Hegseth have made themselves very public figures and have sort of owned this. So a lot of the stories are about them. But as you were saying, right, like there's definitely a JAG within arm's reach. There's a 4-star general who was at the helm. I think that's really going to be when this is almost like the prologue. And I think that when we start hearing from the actual members of the chain of command who are on the ground and very much involved in the strike, that's when things are going to get either a little bit more interesting, either a little bit more confusing, a little bit more illuminated, but certainly more interesting.
Yeah, Hans.
I reserve the right to come back on Hegseth. I'm looking at my phone because we're working on a little scoop that is Hegseth related. When we pop it, I will come back and you guys will get it before Twitter. We have a two-way first, Twitter second platform, right? You guys will get it, and then we'll give it to the masses on Twitter.
Right. You have permission, like Hogan Gidley, to look down at your phone the entire show and just say, no. I'm being sarcastic at all. I was being serious. Just say Operation Newsbreak, and we'll let you write in, just like a little code. Okay, let's talk about Russia, Ukraine. 8 years ago, 9 years ago, Oliver Stone made a two-part Showtime special on Putin. Did either of you see that? I recommend it to you. It's the most revealing thing I've ever seen about Putin. Stone was given incredible access. It was not the least bit hard-hitting, but to me it was worth it because I just learned so much about Putin and how he operates. So I'm always fascinated to see this. We don't have much of a readout about how it went, but those who are put off by the friendliness that Witkoff consistently shows towards Putin and seemingly less so towards Zelensky will not love this. Here is the photo op, pleasantries, between Kushner and Witkoff and their translator and Putin and some of his folks. This is number 11. It goes on a long time. I find it spellbinding. I've already watched it, but let's play it out. And when I get the sense people are bored, we'll stop watching it. But man, I could watch it all day on a loop.
So pleased to see you.
With the audio, please.
You've had a walk around the city, right? Beautiful walk.
Очень хорошая, красивая прогулка.
It was Mr. Uskov organizing that, and together with the Moscow authorities.
Московские власти по праву гордятся тем, что они сделали для развития столицы за последние годы.
The Moscow authorities take pride, rightly, for what they have done for the development of Moscow in recent years.
Надеюсь, вы смогли увидеть.
I hope you've been able to see for yourselves.
Yes, it's a magnificent city.
Да, это удивительный город.
It's just like Tucker. Magnificent. Get everything you need there. Okay. I could go on forever. But before you take that down, though, Sam, did you guys play paper football when you were kids? You know, that's what I think about when I see that table. That'd be just an epic paper football venue. Pushing the thing across there. All right. That's the photo op. Here is President Trump talking today during the cabinet meeting about a possible peace settlement. Number 12, please.
We're trying to get that settled. I've settled 8 wars. This would be the 9th, and our people are over in Russia right now to see if we can get it settled. Not an easy situation. Let me tell you, what a mess. It's a war that never would have happened if I were president.
Putin still constantly fighting with the Europeans from a distance. Here is Putin today talking about how he's ready to fight with Europe. Number 13, please.
I've said that 100 times. We have no plans of fighting against Europe. But if Europe wants to fight and they start this fight, then we are ready right now. There is no doubt about this. But the only question is, if Europe starts the war, unleashes this war, because that's not Ukraine.
Okay.
With Ukraine,
Tim got my Gilligan's Island reference. You're not going to get this one. Hans might, though. One of my best imitations of my whole career was the voice of Gorbachev's translator. I know you're thinking that's kind of an obscure imitation, but at the time when Gorbachev was a big deal, every night, and here's a little. I'll just do a little bit for you. Here you go. Ready? The Russian Federation is very, very eager to engage with Europe, and we will do this if it is the right thing for the people of Russia, of course, to understand. Thank you.
Pretty good.
Again,
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Again, I'm a little rusty, but you get the point. One more, and then to the gentleman. This is Mr. Zelensky today, continuing this thing that the Ukrainians have been forced into, which is, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. This whole thing's going great. This whole thing's going great. Thank you for making the changes. Thank you for working with us. And secretly, they're like, this is a complete nightmare. Number 14, please.
We spoke with Steve yesterday and with him and with all his team.
With Witkoff.
And we spoke. I think I already answered on your question that we are waiting for the results in America-Russia negotiations, today's results. And I will react according to the results. If I feel that we can count on real, specific dialogue, not just words, with some result, we will meet, and he's very welcome to Ukraine. But I'm not sure that they are up on this way, this day, they're ready to come. But who knows? So I want to wait till today's evening. And
okay.
What about the?
I told you at the top I love this show, and one reason I love it is my colleagues are best in class at finding stuff. Those clips, I watch cable news all day on the corner of my eye. I haven't seen those clips anywhere. Just kudos to my colleagues. Great stuff. One last element I forgot. Our colleagues at Polymarket, our partners there, soon coming to the United States. You'll be able to wager from here in the United States. They take bets on all sorts of things, including politics. Let's Polymarket this question of, will Ukraine sign a peace deal with Russia this year? So basically, in the next month, will there be a peace deal? My sources are currently very bullish. Here's what the Polymarket wagers say. 12% chance that Ukraine signs a deal this year. 12%. You can see it's been as high last month as 40%. Strange to me. I don't like to second guess the wagers here, but strange to me that now, when by almost any objective measure, we're closer than we've ever been to a deal, it's gone down from 40% to 12%. So Hans, what do you make of the Polymarket wagers? What do you make of the body language of Mr. Putin and Mr. Zelensky?
No one on Polymarket knows anything, right? It's just I mean, I'm sure they're sponsors, but like if they knew something, then that like 30%, I don't know if they are sponsors. I didn't mean to throw out a blood libel there.
Check the record. You're entitled to your opinion, but check the record.
Well, I just didn't want to insult.
They might be right about this one.
No, I just feel like they've been off. I feel a little about Polymarket the same way I feel about markets, where people are like, well, the markets aren't pricing this in, but markets are wrong until they're right, and they're right until they're wrong. And the thing with Polymarket is that there isn't, and we went through this last time, but there isn't enough money behind it for me to actually believe the bets. Like if someone were wagering more than, what is a lot of money for you and me, which is to say $100, right? If people are making multi-million-dollar individual bets, I would have more confidence in it.
Sometimes they do, but they say 12% chance. What percent chance do you say that there's a deal by the end of the month?
35.
35.
I always say but that's just the trope. I always say 35 because then you're smart if it happens, and then not. Here's my other thing.
Yeah.
Did the Russian table look a little bit higher? I mean, that was at like sort of chest at sternum level.
Interesting.
And you would think, and the cabinet room where you've been and I've been, it seemed at more belly button level, but it almost seemed like maybe Putin's chair was higher.
Yeah.
Because that was the North Korean negotiations, right?
Yeah.
So, but if we can replay it,
Sam, put that back up.
Take a look at where the table hits the sternum on both, and maybe they're just different standards there. Maybe we are.
Little known fact that Hans is related to both Inspector Clouseau and Inspector Gadget. And so he's got a keen eye for these things. Let's put the table back up.
It seemed high to me. The Russian table seems high.
Yeah, it's a little high. That's maybe why I thought about the paper football thing, because for paper football, that's a very good height. But Putin is shorter than everybody else, including the American translator.
But his height is in his torso.
Yeah. He's like Tom Thumb. Tim Rice, are you bullish or bearish on a deal this month?
I'm bearish, but sort of for the same reason that Hans always says 35%. Like when it happens, it'll happen. I'll believe it when I see it. I think that I think that I'm sort of here for the Trump administration's throw everything at the wall and see what sticks approach to Russia and Ukraine at this point, right? Obviously, that's a bit of an oversimplification and certainly not how I think they would describe it. But I think, we're going on 4 years. There's been ebbs and flows. There's been progress. There's been setbacks, but no real progress. It sort of just feels like a 2 steps forward, 1 step back sort of thing with the ground war, with Putin, with Zelensky. We've gone through 2 presidents here, and it feels like nothing's really materially changed. So I think that the Trump administration is doing what they can. Like I said, I sort of appreciate and understand the approach that it seems that they're taking. Putin is unlike any other leader that we have today. And I think he's really unlike any other leader. That this is not, a revolutionary point, right? But I mean, to call him a tyrant is a little bit simplistic, not in like a complimentary way, but it's just like he's a host unto himself. He was born out of this very unique set of circumstances. So I think, no one's ever really done this before. Yeah. And so who knows? Like, I certainly don't know. I don't think anybody knows how this will end, except maybe Vladimir Putin. And even then, there's always this sort of sense that he's just kind of stringing everyone along just because he can. So I have I'll say 20%.
Yeah. Okay. While we wait for Hans to break his headset story right here. No, don't be sorry. Incredible story in Minnesota. I wrote about this for the Daily Mail yesterday. This huge scandal involving taxpayer monies up to $1 billion being siphoned off by these fake charities claiming to help people with housing and kids and stuff and nutrition, and instead being fleeced. Some say sent overseas. But it's caused a war of words between Donald Trump and his cabinet and Governor Walz of Minnesota and the Somali community in Minnesota. And today that thing just went to, I never know, is DEFCON 1 the highest or is 5 the highest? I never can remember.
One's the highest. One's the worst.
The highest. One's the highest. All right, DEFCON 1. Hans, I'm going to fix your thing. Go to video settings. We're going to fix your Zoom, your automatic Zoom. There's a Zoom reset that's causing everybody's cameras to autofocus. When you get a chance, go to video settings and then toggle down to auto framing and untoggle that. You're welcome. Okay. Here's the president. Number 1, please. Today, calling, here's the headline. This is from the New York Times. In a tirade, Trump calls Somali's garbage as ICE prepares a crackdown. The operation targeting Somali immigrants comes as President Trump has been using increasingly inflammatory language to attack Somalis. Here's the president using what I would call increasingly inflammatory language and what some might call a tirade in the cabinet meeting. Number 2, please.
You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right. Here's earlier in the cabinet meeting, there's Secretary Noem talking about her claim that 50% of visas are fraudulent, and she's got no big fandom for the governor of Minnesota either. Number 5, please.
Told me to look into Minnesota and their fraud on visas and their programs. 50% of them are fraudulent, which means that wacko Governor Walz either is an idiot or he did it on purpose. And I think he's both, sir. He brought people in there illegally that never should have been in this country, said they were somebody that they're not. They said they were married to somebody who was their brother or somebody else. Fraudulent visa applications, signed up for government programs, took hundreds of billions of dollars from the taxpayers, and we're going to remove them and we're going to get our money back.
Kind of incredible. And now, a soundbite I haven't heard yet, but I believe, based on what I've been told about it, the president will not like this. This is, Noah, this is the mayor of Minneapolis? Is that who this is?
Yes, Jacob Fry.
Jacob Fry, the mayor of Minneapolis. You may know him from previous bouts with national attention. Here's Jacob Fry saying what he's going to do if ICE comes to his community. And then watch closely for a change in language.
That's not American. That's not what we are about. And we're going to do right by every single person in our cities. And so to our Somali community, Daman Shabka, Somalied Kunul, Minnesota, Garahan, Minneapolis, Waan, Kuji Janilahai, Waan, Ku Gereb, Taganahan.
So he says they're going to resist ICE. Tim, I know you're not close personal friends with President Trump, but what do you think he'd think about that?
I mean, I think he would say, and then, and look at that mayor, right? I mean, that sort of feeds into exactly what the president is saying. And look, the garbage language is one thing, right? But if we can set that aside for a second, I know that, to a certain extent, that is the story. But really, if we peel that back, Trump isn't saying anything new. He's making the same claims that he and his administration, and also every, not just Republican, but every sort of crotchety middle of the road American has made, which is, the sort of typical retort of, oh, well, if you like your country so much and don't like ours, then why don't you go back? There is something to that argument. It's obviously a little bit facile, but I think Trump is, now targeting this entire community in part because the national representatives of the Somali American community, namely Ilhan Omar and Omar Fateh, and the mayor, who apparently is now kind of a de facto representative of the Somali community, they do talk like this a lot, right? There is a lot of Somalia is the best country in the world and America is horrible and let's fly the Somali flag at rallies, and their supporters will say that, oh, it's no different than the St. Patrick's Day parade or an Italian feast, but of course it's different, right? I mean, Omar Fatah's pitch was like, I'm going to run to be the most Somali, I'm going to be the Somalis guy, I'm going to be the Somalian guy for Somalis, not just in this district, but eventually in the sort of implied national political career that he's setting himself up for. And, I think that is a very reasonable thing to criticize. I think that without getting into all this question of dual loyalty or birthright citizenship or any of the weightier topics that it does get into, just simply politically speaking, that's bad rhetoric. And I think if you talk like that, if you're gonna make yourself sort of like Somalia first guy, I think you deserve to get criticized.
Hans,
can I break in with Operation Newsbreak?
Yes,
permission?
Sir. Do it. Permission granted.
The IG report on Hegseth's use of Signal has been transmitted to Senate Armed Services. It's in a classified setting. A redacted, unclassified report will come out Thursday. So Pete Hegseth may have had survived this round of the cabinet, but we are going to learn a lot more about this IG report. For those of you that weren't following it, that was when he added a journalist to his Signal chat, which gave very precise information on a strike package that was heading towards Iran, I believe, and the success of that strike package. So that is going to the fuel to the fire is what I would. Oh wow, that was fast. You got this, Mark. That is the speed with which you guys got that up is like
impressive.
That's impressive, because I texted that to Lori just like a little bit ago.
Yeah.
That like cable news should just be terrified of you right now. I've never seen anything that fast.
My team's getting a talking to tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
This is going to be used as an example.
We cut out the middleman. That's all I can say. And Hans's colleague Stephen Newcomb. Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah, we refer to him as the Nuke affectionately.
The Nuke has already put it on.
He
Twitter.
put on Twitter. I know. I said I would.
Yeah, there it is. Anyway, a great news break. Congratulations. That's a big deal. And let me ask you this. Maybe one of you knows, maybe you don't. What are the unanswered questions about Signalgate? Because there's been a lot of reporting about what happened.
Was it classified information that the Secretary of then Defense, now War, transmitted from the high side, as they say?
Yeah.
And did he transmit that? And did it compromise? Did it compromise operational? Did it compromise the integrity of the mission and operational security?
Right.
Nothing happened, right? No, no Americans were shot down.
Yeah.
The attack was a success, but did he share classified material that could have compromised in an unclassified setting?
Right, and this is an IG report, Inspector General. Is this an Inspector General who Trump hired? Can they accuse him of being a deep stater, I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, Trump has fired a lot of the IGs, right?
Yes,
but I feel like the IG at the Pentagon was dismissed, but then they brought over someone from, but this is really from memory, they brought up, it's almost being like a pinch hitter. There was like the HHS IG. Maybe that IG was sympathetic. I don't know. Like maybe this will be a nothing burger. I don't know, it could be, right?
I mean, I guess my spidey sense is, because no one died, because the operation was not, as far as we know, bespoiled, Hegseth and the president are just going to say, whatever, right?
Yeah, but it's another. You're right? Yeah. But like, take me back to where you were in March and April when you first read that story.
White hot. It was white hot.
Yeah, it was like you were like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like this is like, I mean, like a journalist was in the chat and there was, it was just, and that was. It seems like a lifetime ago, but that was a pretty explosive story. And I think we were all really shocked. You're like, you included a journalist on
Tim Rice, am I right that you and Jeffrey Goldenberg have never been at Le Dip together? Am I right about that?
No comment. Okay. You keep bringing up Le Dip. Mark's trying to brand me as a Beltway insider. I have a better French restaurant in Washington that as the kids say, I gatekeep it. I don't tell anyone about it.
Have you ever been to Le Diplomat in your life?
Of course. I mean, I'm a DC insider. Of course I've been to Le Dip. It's good. No.
Here's your trick on Le Dip. Yeah. Don't do a reservation. Show up right at 11:59 and sit at the bar.
Which 11:59 do you mean?
I mean the noon, the pre-noon. I don't think they're like at that point. I'm in bed. Like I will cop to drinking at lunch, but I definitely can't stay up past 11.
Okay. Great information. Again, congratulations on the scoop. Let's cover a few more things then to your question. So if you want to get in on the conversation, please raise your hand. This Tennessee special election tonight, Hans, don't listen because I'm going to show you another Polymarket result from our partners at Polymarket. The Polymarket bettors asked as 18, who's going to win? Who's going to win this thing? And the question is, what's the percent chance that the Republican wins? 88% chance for Mr. Matt Van Epps, who's on Fox and Friends this morning. Afton Ben. Is that how you pronounce it?
Bain.
Huh? Bain. Yeah, Afton Bain. That's what I said. Afton Bain, 12% chance for the Polymarket bettors. On the one hand, I think 88 is too low because I don't know a single political consultant in Tennessee or nationally who doesn't think Van Epps is going to win. On the other hand, you never know. It's a special election. Tim Rice, let me just flip all the cards. If Matt Van Epps wins by 6 points, how much does the liberal media turn this into, fire bell in the night and Republicans need to be terrified?
Oh, immediately.
What if it's 9 points?
If it's 9 points, I think that legally speaking, they have to rebrand MS Now as MSNBC just to fully get the celebration.
But here's what I'm trying to do here, because we're all sophisticates who go to La Dip. Been there once. We know if it's 1 point, fire bell, right? Just 5-alarm fire. If it's 15 points, nothing. Okay, that's good enough. So then the question is, keep going up one. What's the margin that the Republican needs to win by to keep, msnow.com from writing a piece saying panic amongst Republicans, da-da-da. So we know it's more than 4. We know it's less than 12. So Hans, what's the number?
10. I would just say they're break evens for different news organizations. So MS will probably be, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's say 10, double digits.
10.
Double digits. The Journal is probably, closer to 12, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if I don't know which way it goes. So
no, the Journal's closer to 8. Journal's closer to 8.
I got my
I was doing it backwards too.
Yeah.
So
Journal's closer to 8. Washington Post is probably 8 too.
6.
CBS 6. All right. CBS
6.
News,
Okay.
The Barry Weiss CBSNews.com 25.
It's 22.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever.
No, that's unfair. That's unfair.
Yeah.
I would bet most of the networks are around. Most of the networks are going to be around double digits. I think the more interesting question, I mean, we can all parse it out. The more interesting question is what we'll do to grassroots fundraising on the Democratic side, and that is to me when do people start, and what does it cause the D trip to do? Because if the D trip is suddenly thinking that they can win, let's say it's 10, so that's a 12-point delta. Let's just say if they start thinking of winning and competing in Trump seats that are Trump plus 10 in that range, the map looks entirely different. Yeah. And that makes it really complicated for the D trip, because instead of just focusing on 20 seats and putting $20 million in each of those seats, they then suddenly start thinking about 60 seats and put maybe $5 million in each of those 60s. And correct me if my math is wrong. So to me, it's more of a donor and an operative question. We'll cycle through this, and by Thursday we'll have moved on to Hegseth's tweets or Hegseth's signal chat.
Tim, before you comment on the Tennessee House race, I'll tell you just a little inside thing. There's 2 kinds of hosts. Okay, there are hosts who, when one of the guests says the really interesting question is this, rather than the question the host asks, there are hosts who are bothered by that, and there are hosts who couldn't care less. Just letting you know.
The really interesting thing about what you just said is
I'm totally.
What you meant to say.
I'm in the category. No. Don't be sorry. I'm in the category of that. I don't want to go to Hans Nichols on Capitol Hill and Hans says, "That's exactly right, Mark." I want Hans to say, "Mark, you're not up here on the Hill, so the real story is this." Tim, how do your readers feel about this Tennessee race?
Well, my readers and my colleagues are very invested because
it's in their district.
Daily Wire headquarters is in Nashville, Tennessee, Music City. So,
but in the district, because they don't have all of Nashville, right?
I think we're in the. I'm not exactly sure, but I think we are. I think we're if not in the actual district, then in the backyard.
And are your colleagues registered Tennessee voters?
I think the ones that live in Tennessee are. Most of the team is in Nashville. Yeah. Our readers are very invested, as you can imagine. I'm not even kidding here. I do think that I'm going to sidestep the margin question, because I think that either way, and Hans was sort of getting at this, I think that the D trip and the party apparatus has sort of like bamboozled themselves into throwing a lot of support behind Afton Bain because she is definitely could be this bellwether for younger
Yeah.
grassroots progressives
Yeah.
in Trump
Yeah.
heavy districts.
Yeah.
But this was just sort of going. It's like when Democrats used to run against Mitch McConnell, and it was always, they would do their thing. I can't remember the name of the one woman who always ran against him.
Amy McGrath.
Amy McGrath, yeah, and it was like
fighter pilot.
yeah, or
Yeah.
Allison Lundergan Grimes is who I was thinking of. But
Okay,
it was like, yeah, okay, they're gonna run and everyone's gonna fundraise and he's gonna win. This was sort of like that until the video came out of her saying that she hated Nashville, right? And then all of a sudden it was in the national media. She's saying I'm being attacked by the RNC and the NRSC, and then the D-Chirp got involved even more. And again, look, I mean, the media is reporting it. All of a sudden, we sort of made it this bellwether, right? We kind of inflated that. So precisely because of that, I think that regardless of what happens tomorrow, we are going to see it's going to be the race that launched 1,000 think pieces because, the mere fact that the woman who has been positively described from her first city council race or state representative race as the AOC of Tennessee, that's what they call her positively in the media. That's not me branding her that way.
Yeah.
The fact that she could even, I think the narrative is going to be the fact that she could even make this much of a dent and become this much of a national symbol is a sign that, exactly what Hans was saying. Maybe we can do this. I think that's kind of a mistake. I think the only reason this got turbocharged that way is because of the I Hate the Bachelorettes, I Hate Country Music tape.
Yeah,
It was a classic October surprise that just put this thing in front of everyone's radar. And now we're like retconning some sort of political prognostication.
Right. Brilliant. Two things before we get to your questions. First, a little game occurred to me. I want you guys to close your eyes. You're going to vote. If you want to vote for yourself, you'll point at yourself. If you want to vote for the other guy, you'll point out like this, okay? Here's the question. Eyes closed. Which do you think occurs more often in the world? People mixing up Semaphore with Axios or people mixing up the Daily Caller with the Daily Wire? So if you want to vote for your own publication, point to yourself. If you want to point to the other guys, point to the other guy. Yes, you both vote for Daily Caller, Daily Wire. Tim, to tell everybody, because again, I know the difference because I've studied it. Like I every night I go into a different large learning language module or whatever those things are called, and I say, tell me again, do a chart of the difference between the Daily Wire and Daily Caller. What's the difference?
Well, we're the best. Obviously, the Daily Wire is the best. Founded by Ben Shapiro and a couple of gentlemen 10 years ago. It's our 10th anniversary. We're based in Nashville. We have our new emerging presence here in Washington. The Daily Caller was founded by Tucker Carlson and Neil Patel in 2011. And the Daily Signal was until recently the editorial arm of the Heritage Foundation. They are still affiliated with Heritage, but they have recently severed. I think they're for tax purposes or something, they're independent. So, we're all a little bit on the same side. We're the best.
And is there any ideological difference? You guys have a lot of podcasts that are quite successful. I don't know that the Daily Caller does, right?
I don't know. Yeah, the Caller, that's another good way of doing it. The Caller is very straight news. The Signal is a little bit more heritagey. It gets a little bit more opinion-y. Our flagship thing is all of our podcasts. Ideologically, I would say it kind of comes down to the personalities, but as a kind of broad editorial line, probably not. But no, I've been introduced to people as Tim Rice from the Daily Caller. Oh, I'm sorry, Tim Rice from the Daily Signal, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, it's the third one.
Tim, can you do the free beacon? Can you put the free beacon in that sort of Cadillac-y?
Oh yeah. I don't know. The beacon's off somewhere in the little run. It's my former employer
and don't forget Breitbart. The way I remember my mnemonic devices, I just remember the very distinct and separate laughs of Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro. They both have epic signature laughs, and that's how I differentiate. All right, quick word from another sponsor, and then to your questions. Again, if you're here on the platform, want to get involved in the conversation, please raise your hand. 30% off from our great friends at the Brick House. Go to Brickhouse Nutrition. Brickhouse Nutrition. Go to brickhousesale.com. You don't need a promo code. You just go direct to the website for 30% off everything they got on there. That includes the products from Lean. You want to lose weight in a sensible way, not yo-yoing up and down, but just lose weight in a consistent, healthy way. The good doctors at Lean have formulated a weight loss supplement that doesn't involve injecting yourself. Lose weight that way. Creatone, designed specifically for women. And then Field of Greens, the only superfruit and vegetable drink. All of them available to you now at this extraordinary discount. A way to try to get better sleep, lose weight feel better. 30% off this Black Friday sale is going to go fast. I don't know how fast, but don't take any risk. Go right now to brickhouseSale.com, 30% off. No promo code needed, brickhouseSale.com. All right, here we go. Wallace, it says Wallach, but maybe you forgot the E. Unmute, tell folks who don't know where you are, if you're missing an E, and what's on your mind.
Hi, Mark. Yeah, it is Wallace.
Yes,
I was sitting here. I was sitting there looking at my name, saying I can't even spell my name right, but I didn't want to try and go in there and fix it. I figured I'd mess something up.
All good. Welcome in, sir. Tell folks who don't know where you are.
Thank you. Southern California,
Yes,
specifically Riverside County, rural area. I have a question specifically, I guess, for Mark, all three of you, Mark, Hans, and Tim, regarding the topic that we were talking about earlier. And that's Pete Hegseth and the shooting the narco boat out of the water. It seems awful curious on the timing between when the six legislators, lawmakers, issued that video that was very controversial, and this, the timing of the report. And it just seems to me like it must be coordinated. I'm not suggesting there's some kind of conspiracy, but it just seems coordinated to me. It really does. I'm sorry.
It's a great point. Some people are saying, and I'll turn it over to Hans first, that this is what they were referring to, that they knew about this, but maybe they learned about it in a classified setting and they couldn't say. And then when they were asked for examples, they didn't offer this up. So even though this has been out there, this is not some brand new thing. So Hans, thoughts on Wallace's great question about any connection between the two events?
It's a great question. I don't know if we'll ever be able to answer it. If the hypothetical, if the fact pattern is true, it was a heck of a trap, they said. Trump took the bait, right? Trump took the bait and he got very upset and talked about, have his treasonous comments. But that's a tough story to prove. You basically need to reverse engineer all the stories and the sourcing on it and kind of pin it on those six. It just need to be one, but one member of Congress had it and had the idea. But
Hans, have the six been asked?
Not today. Not in the hallway that I'm aware.
Okay.
But this is where Grok is good, and this is where Grok is ask Grok. Grok, if there was any hallway conversations on that, and there might have been. I just haven't done a full news run, and there's only
Grok has people in the hallway.
Reporters tweet pretty much every conversation they have in the hallway.
Yeah.
So it's a question. So I mean, before hitting send on my newsletter, I would ask both ChatGPT and Grok. But Grok might, if it's the spider that would scrub it, right?
Which of the six has the worst poker face?
I'll tell you that's the best.
Maybe Mark Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly's a pretty. No, I mean, I would say Slotkin has the best poker face, but I don't know who the worst is. And I don't know Jason Crow that well. Like, I don't know. Slotkin's probably the one I know. Slotkin and Kelly are the ones I know the best, and Slotkin's pretty crafty. Former, as she mentioned, the CIA. I don't know if she's an officer, an agent. I know there's a distinction there, but she was with the CIA based in the Green Zone, so she knows a thing or two about spycraft.
Yeah. Tim, thoughts on Wallace's excellent question? Yes, sir. Go ahead, Wallace, then Tim.
No, go ahead, Tim, and then I wanted to make one more comment on that after Tim.
I'll be very quick because this is great, and it gives me the opportunity to be a really good company man, which is read Ben Shapiro's column for today. He takes as his starting point what if this was a sort of coordinated, not coordinated, conspiratorial, like we were saying, but what if this was sort of related in that sense, and kind of walks through the implications, both in terms of the legality of the exercise, but also, is this an emerging strategy among the Democratic Party? Is this what the next few years are going to be like? If this is, some sort of attempt at a double tap, if you will, is this sort of the way that, are they now bringing, you bring a knife, we'll bring a gun. So I read my boss's column. He gets into it really well, and now I'll shut up so you can make your other point.
I'll do that. Thank you. Yeah, Mark, I want to make a comment that, I think it was the last day before Thanksgiving in the morning meeting, Dan Turntine, he was at the very end twice. I recall him saying very emphatically, almost giddy, nature, that the statement put out by the lawmakers was a complete and total, what was the term he used? Political stunt, and that they fell for it. He used that term twice, as I recall, and I hope I'm not wrong about that. So it just seems like is the rest of this somewhat of a political stunt because we're talking about two individuals that were, obviously suspected to be narco terrorists bringing drugs to our country, and it seems like a lot of uproar and about those two individuals. And I know it goes deeper than just two people in the water, but it just, for example, Mark Kelly, the senator, I just, I use a term. It seems like he just run around with his hair, setting his hair on fire over this. And I didn't see any outrage from him when we pulled out of Afghanistan and what a debacle that was. And yet he's going to sit here and tell us that Mark Hetchka is completely unqualified for this. But, there's a lot of whataboutisms on this. But on this, I just personally, I don't care about those two people in the water there. I don't mean to sound impersonal, but, how about our senators, our legislature? How about the keep the government running, fix our budget, fix our budget deficit, and fix the things that they could, rather than spending all this time on this.
Yeah, let me raise one thing. Hold on, I just okay. So had a long talk on Next Up, which you can listen to or watch now on my Megyn Kelly Network show with Jeb Rubenfeld, who's a law professor at Yale, who's talked a lot about these issues. And here's the hypothetical he gave. And Wallace, I'd be curious to know what you think about this. Say a woman gets off an airplane from Venezuela at Miami airport, and they detect fentanyl in her suitcase. Would you think the National Guard could pull out a gun and just kill her right at the airport?
No, certainly no.
No. What's the difference?
That's a good question. Now you put me in a difficult spot. I think the difference is
I didn't
she's carrying us.
Yeah.
She's
Go ahead.
No, and that's okay. I don't mind that. I'm
talking about a large quantity of fentanyl that's clearly to be sold in the United States. Okay.
A lady. You talk about the same lady getting off the airplane with a large amount.
Yeah, I'm saying it's not for personal use. She gets off the plane and she's carrying a bunch of drugs that's going to kill Americans. Could the National Guard, if they were at the airport, see her and just take out their weapons and kill her right there at the airport?
No, they can't. But I think maybe the difference is this is international waters out there. These guys are carrying a lot more.
Yeah.
A lot more. And these people driving these boats, they know that they could potentially be killed. They're having trouble replacing.
No question. Although it's been widely reported that some of the ships were not headed to the United States. So, and some had cocaine and not fentanyl. My only point is, besides to plug my great conversation with Jed, is I get that people want to stop the drug war, and I get that people say if there are narco terrorists out there who are going to kill Americans, let's have at it. But there are people concerned, including Republicans in Congress, who are concerned about international law, and you can't just kill people.
Can I jump in and try to? I would say,
sir.
I mean, Wallace had one last, but due process and habeas applies to non-U.S. citizens the minute they're on U.S. soil, right?
Yeah.
There's like a whole body of case law on that, and her due process would presumably be violated. And the second has to go, and this is it has to do with the imminence of the threat. And if she is in the United States and she's in custody, she poses virtually no threat. I think one of the arguments that we'll be hearing on the two suspected leftover traffickers is that they still pose a threat. They could have still reconstituted.
Yeah.
They could have swam back to a dive. So,
100%, 100%.
Again, someone's going to correct me on the three elements of the Caroline doctrine and doctrine of self-defense. But that to me would be the crucial, she's not a threat and she's on this country. So we have to afford her due process.
Yep. Wallace, great question.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wallace, thank you. Great for that. I got to sneak in a couple sponsors and then hopefully time for one more question. I'll do these lickety split here. Let's see. Yeah, okay. First sponsor, chefiq.com. Promo code 2way gets you 30% off. Time for cooking for the holidays. Do you want to do it right? You don't want to have stress. You just want to buy your gifts, maybe for the chefs in your life, or if you're cooking, you want help. Right now, Chef IQ Sense is available to you. Wireless cooking thermometer. Works on everything. Works on beef, chicken, pork, prime rib, turkey, whatever you're making. Plug it in. Chef IQ does the rest. Just check the app every so often. It'll let you know when to flip it, when it's done, even how long to let it rest after it comes out of the oven. Perfectly cooked every time. Use it now as an opportunity to buy some holiday gifts for the chefs in your life. Get all your shopping done and make this holiday your best yet with Chef IQ's Black Friday sale. Go to chefiq.com. Use the promo code 2way for a Startling I'm startled by it. I almost can't read the copy because I'm so startled. 30% off right now. ChefIQ.com, promo code two-way. One last sponsor. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Our friends at CB Distillery offering the people of the two-way community 25% off right now. Also promo code two-way. Holidays can be hectic. You can be stressed. You might want to make sure you get all the sleep you need. That's why you want to try what has worked for over 2 million people. That's right, people. I said 2 million. 2 million people using the product of CB Distillery for better sleep, pain relief after working out, and chance to grab a little holiday calm for yourself. It's made with premium, high quality, clean ingredients, no fillers or anything artificial. 100% money back guaranteed. You can buy your gifts here as well. 25% off. Go to cbdistillery.com. The promo code is two-way, TWAY. I hope they insisted to be all caps because I'm very stringent about my copyright. 25% off, cbdistillery.com. Promo code two-way for 25% off. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Mitchell, we're going to sneak you in under the wire. Don't read the Declaration of Independence. Just tell us where you are, what's on your mind, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, calling from Arizona. So, briefest possible format. So, with the Venezuelan double tap specifically, so if we take as a hypothetical that there's sufficient legal cover that that was a legal act, and we're really talking about the morality component and basically the amount of American outrage on that, given that Americans have been watching our military drone strike people since I was in high school, and I'm 38 now. Is there sufficient moral outrage left for drone striking anybody outside the U.S. within the American population to make Congress do their job?
Great question. The quick answer is no. They have no interest in being a co-equal branch or reading the Constitution to know that the war powers are vested with them. Tim, thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree with Mark. I would say no. I think, it's my soft prediction of what's going to happen is that we're going to start puzzling this stuff out, and eventually the administration is going to make the argument that they're going to fully land on and crystallize the argument that these are combatants and ought to be treated as combatants in the same way, which is then going to bring us, it's going to butt right up against that following question, which is, well, if someone's going to say it's probably going to be Bernie Sanders, just because he always does this and he did it all throughout the Iraq War. He's going to say, you still need to get congressional approval, and everyone's going to point to the entire war on terror as precedent, and we're going to have the same debates that we've been having, and like we were saying with the Tennessee race, right? By the time everyone finishes making their opening statements, we'll have moved on to something else. There'll be some new Pentagon leaks. So no, I don't think, and again, whether right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm not going to say, but I think that we're almost in sort of like a cave beneath a cave here. And by the time we get done sussing out, can we even treat these people as combatants? Is this in violation of international law? Is there some right to do it? By the time we get to the, who has the power to declare law, or to declare war conversation, and is it right to be drone striking people, in international waters? That's just like, I think no. No is the short answer.
Yeah. Hans.
We've become inured to this kind of violence, as you point out, Michael. Right? I mean, we all watched kind of like whether we wanted it or not, Charlie Kirk die in 4K. Right? That was pretty horrific. And so I think we've all, and there's two different, but just the act of violence, the act of souls losing their life on this earth has become pretty commonplace. And so I don't know where we go as a society or whatever, where the outrage meter goes, but we have seen things in our generation, civilians, that in previous generations only combatants saw, and they were scarred by it. And I don't have an answer for how scarred we will be as a society, or whether or not we'll be outraged by watching these things. And then you go even way further back in time, like public executions used to be a thing. And kids used to go watch people get hanged. It was like an event, right? So I don't know about the human capacity to process violence.
Right. Mitchell, thank you. Grateful to you. All right, quick promos on programming. Two-way tonight, back here tomorrow, and morning meeting. Two new guest hosts, co-hosts joining me tomorrow morning. Tune in at 9 a.m. to see who they are. And right now, Michael Moynihan with Eli Lake, talking about all things going on in the world. Eli and Michael, both super smart, so watch that right as we end here. And don't forget my new episode of Next Up, again, available now as a podcast and on YouTube. In addition to what I mentioned before, I talk about the Caribbean strikes. Katie Miller, notable podcaster and spouse of Stephen Miller, we talk pretty frankly about her family's having to deal with death threats and the portrayal of her husband and how she feels about that. And then my reported monologue is on how Democrats are more confident than they've ever been that this is it. Donald Trump is politically dead, and why Republicans are arguing, no, once again, he has a path to turn this around and what they suggest he do. All that available to you now. And again, I'll see you 9 a.m. tomorrow. And gentlemen, couldn't be more grateful to you both. You make a good team. Someday I hope to dine with both of you at Le Dip.
At Le Dip. At 11:59.
No, we're going to Tim's secret. We're going to
That's right. I'll tell you
French
offline.
bistro.
We'll go to the secret spot.
Tim, what's the meeting spot? What's the staging area? I don't want to hear the restaurant location, but where would the staging area be to go to that place?
Georgetown, vaguely.
Georgetown, vaguely. Okay, maybe on
Palisades.
Maybe,
is it Belgian?
Maybe the Exorcist steps.
No, yeah.
Maybe
and there's Starbucks on M Street. We can go from there.
Okay. All right. Gentlemen, grateful to all of you in the two-way community. I'll see you at 9 a.m. with our surprise new guest hosts on the morning meeting. Wish you a great night and full coverage, of course, of the Tennessee results. Have a good night.